I'm in a writing workshop right now, and I'm always being warned to make my character's voices seem believable, but like, how do you achieve, I guess, that healthy balance?
It's amazing how most of the kids that I know who are trying to be writers, they have such, in music terms, they would call it a tin ear. They can't hear beats, they don't really hear music, they just don't really get it, they don't have an ear, I think part of what's happening is that most folks, they want to do the work, but they're not imagining what it's like to be on the receiving end of their work. It's like, I think that perhaps the most important stance, if you're going to be a writer, is to deeply imagine what it's like to be on the receiving end of your writing. Like, you should write a way lot less. Because writing is a great way never to have to imagine what you need to imagine to be really the writer. If you wrote a lot less, read a lot more, thought about it a lot more, you'd be way more successful. What else we got, guys? You're good down.
I had a question about the Spanish, actually, and if you wrote it intentionally knowing that some people wouldn't understand Spanish, and to put them on the outside.
We're far more comfortable with certain kinds of unintelligibility than we are with others. And so for me, it wasn't that I was trying to be like, I want you to feel like an immigrant. It's just like I understand how intelligibility works. And I think that the fun part of a book is that you only have to get 10% of it for it to work. Because that's basically how life is. You only hear about 10% of what people say to you. And yet you put together wonderful lives. You fall in love, you're like incredibly successful, like things really happen on 10%. What else?
How do you decide for yourself, like say you've got this idea and you sort of work on it for a bit, and then how do you decide when that idea is worth pursuing or when you're just going to say like, I'm going to leave it?
The deepest themes of this book are about the foundational rape violence of the Americas. I know that sounds crazy, but because the book is really about how people like me and people in the New World were like raped into existence, and how that the echo of that violence continues down. And the Caribbean, one of the great challenges is how do we write about our nightmarish past in a way that makes sense to the present. I felt it was really important for the Caribbean to have some stories. I mean, America cannot make sense of itself without the Caribbean. It was very selfish of me as a Dominican living in New Jersey. I knew that if I had my foot both in the place that America began and in the place, in some ways, that America ends, New Jersey. Man, I just was like, this is perfect.
Do you have any regrets about Oscar Wilde?
Oh yeah, man. I had all sorts of great stuff that I wasn't talented enough to put in there. The famous John F. Kennedy rocking chair was always like photographed in it, and it was actually made in the Dominican Republic. Yeah, and so I had this chapter where every time he would get into this rocking chair, the rocking chair would possess him and be like, "You love Dominicans." I actually lay in bed thinking about that rocking chair. I'm not kidding. I'm like, oh, had I only been more talented. Well, guys, you've been very kind. You are let out early. Have a good day.